Hey guys, so in this video we're going to be doing a reading from one of my favorite books, The Language of Letting Go by Melody Beattie. Today's date is November 21st, 2022, although this will probably be posted in a few days. And the reading for today is financial fears. I think all humans can at some point, Stella, choo-choo, come here, you want to say hi? I think all humans at some point in their life can relate to the fear of financial scarcity. So it's a universal thing, but it depends on how we hold it and handle it. Stella, come here, just say hi and don't bark. It can really make the difference, you know. It's like it's normal to be afraid, but how we handle our fears makes the big difference. So, without further ado, let's get to the reading, and hopefully Miss Stella will calm her tits, or not. All right. Hey, Stella, choo-choo. She takes her job as my security guard very seriously. She's my tiny wolf, my very ferocious tiny wolf. All right, so here we go. Financial fears, and this is on page 336 of the book. Stella, choo-choo. Okay. I sat in the car looking. Stella, come on. Sorry, guys. I sat in the car, looking at the sign on the door of the food shelf office. Closed until Friday. It was Wednesday. I had 2 hungry children and myself, and I had no money. I laid my head on the steering wheel. I couldn't take it anymore. I had been so strong, so brave, so trusting for so long. I was a single parent with 2 children, recently divorced. I had worked so courageously at being grateful for what I had, while setting financial goals and working at believing that I deserved the best. I had put up with so much poverty, so much deprivation. Daily, I worked the 11th step. I worked so hard at praying for knowledge of God's will for me only and the power to carry it through. I believed I was doing what I needed to do in my life. I wasn't lollygagging. I was doing my best, working my hardest. And there just wasn't enough money. Life had been a struggle in many ways, but the financial struggle seemed endless. Money isn't everything, but it takes money to solve certain problems. I was sick of letting go and letting go and letting go. I was sick of acting as if I had enough money. I was tired of having to work so hard daily at letting go of the pain and fear about not having enough. I was tired of working so hard at being happy without having enough. Sorry. Hey, choo-choo. There's someone in the forest next to me, next to my house, so she's on guard. Hey, choo-choo. Choo-choo. Hey, you're kind of really interrupting this video, Choo. Her name's not Choo, it's Stella. Okay, let's continue. Actually, most of the time I was happy. I had found my soul in poverty. But now I had my soul and myself. I wanted some money, too. While I sat in the car trying to compose myself, I heard God speak to me in that silent, still voice that whispers gently to our souls. The intuition. You don't ever have to worry about money again, child. Not unless you want to. I told you that I will take care of you, and I will. Great, I thought. Thanks a lot. I believe you. I trust you. But look around. There's no money. I have no food. And that food shelf is closed. You've let me down. And I heard his voice again in my soul. You don't have to worry about money again. You don't have to be afraid. I promise to meet all of your needs. I went home, called a friend, and asked to borrow some money. I hated borrowing, but I had no choice. My breakdown in the car was a release, but it didn't solve a thing that day. There was no check in the mailbox. But I got food for the day, and the next day, and the next. And within 6 months, my income doubled. Within 9 months, it tripled. And since that day, yes, I have had hard times, but I have never had to go without. Not for more than a moment in time. Now, I have enough. Sometimes I still worry about money because that seems to be habitual. But now I know I don't have to. And I know that I never did. So here's an affirmation for today. God, help me work hard at what I believe is right for me in my life today, and I'll trust you for the rest. Help me let go of my fears about money. Help me turn that area over to you. Take away the blocks and barriers in my life to financial success. Yeah, so I can definitely relate to this reading today. again, with the loss of my Facebook page, which is still underway as I record this video, it's represented, the potential of losing my job. I've made it my career to be a content creator, and, overnight that could be taken away. So I really love how this passage just speaks to this sense of trust that it's going to be all right. And it's hard when we are worrying in the moment of like, oh my God, it's not just about me, like I'm paying people who provide for their families. My page, we do a lot of charity work. We support, I'm paying for these elders right now. I'm scared. Like I've been for a year using the money that I receive to feed underprivileged elders in my community. Some are blind. They all can't work. Their families are really poor. And so losing my income also is like, how am I gonna, I'm scared that I can't continue to support these elders. My page also, we feed children on my page. Like we give food and education to children. So, it's like someone accused me of like, oh, it's just about the money. And it's like, money isn't everything, but it does provide us the ability to provide for our needs and also for the needs of others. So it is important, and it's also important to keep things in perspective and trust and rely that life, God, will show us the way. But we're much more likely to find the way when we can be like relaxed and open and expect and have faith that it's coming, right? And then also what I liked about this reading is like sometimes we have to humble ourselves and ask to borrow money. We have to open ourselves to receive, and sometimes receiving is really hard. Sometimes receiving is really hard. If you've ever had to ask for something and that uncomfortable feeling, So I think on this journey, it's important to remember that, we need money, but it's also not everything, Trust, remain open, look for ways to create value, stay open to the process, right? Like I know for my elderly feeding project, I'm going to have to start going to other people in the community and asking for help, see if other people want to help sustain this project. At Karuna, we're actually going to we're starting a new kirtan on Wednesday. So a kirtan is a devotional singing circle. It's really derived from a Hindu tradition, and we sing mantras in Sanskrit. Some of my favorite are to Ganesha and Om Mani Padme Om, and Asatoma Satgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotir Gamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya, Om. I'll play that one for you in another video. And so we're going to use the proceeds from that to support the elderly feeding project. So I think it's important just to keep a bigger picture view that yes, sometimes it really sucks in the moment and it can be really hard financially in the moment. And that's when it's important to just really center and ground into our faith, really center and ground into trust, trusting and relying upon God. And I've been asking myself this question: how do you know when you're trusting and relying upon God? How do you know? Okay, I'm trusting and relying on you. I trust you, I rely on you. Right? And so there's one thing to say it, but it's another thing to have an embodied experience of trusting and relying upon the divine. And what I've come to understand, a friend was sharing with me a passage from the Bible, is that, when you're really trusting in God, this higher power, whatever it is for you, whatever faith you come from or identify with, when we trust in God, we can feel at peace and we can be okay with what's happening, even if it's uncomfortable, right? It's okay to have the feelings and the fears, right? But it's I think of it like standing in a river that's moving, right? This rushing river, and it can feel really scary, but having this rock to stand on, it's okay, I'm just going to stand on this rock, and I have this steadiness under my feet. So even though it feels scary and things are moving, I trust that, just, have faith and have patience. And, next thing, a boat comes, or a helicopter comes, or, a dog comes and swims out with a life jacket. It was here. I don't know. God works in mysterious ways. So, it's okay to be financially scared. It's okay to go through periods where you're afraid of losing your job. It's okay to also, sometimes people get into relationships where, and I've done this, where I'm financially dependent on another person. And I'm not in the relationship because, and again, this is about codependency. I'm not in the relationship because this is so good and it feels great. It's I have a financial dependence on this person, right? And we do these things not because we're bad or wrong people. It's just sometimes we get confused and we make poor choices, right? And so I also think that these moments when things get scary and uncertain, it's also above all a call to grow and look at, how did I get in this position? Okay, how did I get here? What do I need to change or adjust to get myself to a new place? And that's ultimately, I think, one of the most powerful parts of getting into these dark places and spaces, is it's an invitation to really look honestly at ourselves and how we got here and take responsibility. Like, okay, wow, I created this. Like, I did this. And so if I can do this, if I can do this, that means that I can also undo this. I can do something else. I can find the way out. And it's going to be taking responsibility for my thoughts, taking responsibility for my fears, changing my relationship with my fears. Instead of hiding and shrinking and numbing out and going and smoking weed or getting drunk over it, like, no, like facing it, asking for help, praying, staying open. And then, I liked all that the reading also talked about. It's like, okay, we have that fear in the moment, but then, okay, zoom out and like, where could we be 2 months, 6 months, a year from now if we do things differently? So everything's going to be okay. I say that to you. I say that to myself. Have faith. Look for ways to create value. Go slowly. And, sometimes we have to make some sacrifices. Sometimes we have to sacrifice our pride and ask for help. Sometimes we have to change the way that we're doing things. Like I have this big plan for my house, and I was building this structure on my property. And now, actually, after this video, I'm about to go have a call with Ashley, the woman who I'm working with, and we've got to take a really honest look at the situation of like, what can I afford now? What kind of timeline could I be looking at? Maybe it's time to actually, get the house to a certain place and then stop. And I'm actually thinking maybe just do the cob earthen first floor and then stop, and then just work on landscaping in the garden until financially I can figure out how I'm going to afford to do the rest of the structure. So, I think it comes down to, again, that rock of trust that we stand on, knowing, and I think this is really the key of having a sense of God and surrender to a power greater than yourself. It's like, you're not alone. There is a power watching out for you. When we can surrender into it, we can find a whole new path. And it can be a path that's much better than the one that we thought was going to be the path, and sometimes that's how life works, right? So faith, trust, patience, stay open, look for ways to create value, show up and do your work, like show up in the way that you're called, and then let go, let God, God, show me the way, lead me to it and through it and help me do it. Because I can't do it on my own, and I need you. I need you. So, we were never meant to do it alone. And I think that's when I have struggled the most in those dark times, was when, I was financially really going through a hard time. And I felt like I had to do it all on my own, and I didn't have a greater sense of surrender to a power greater than myself. So, I think these are the ways that we can help ourselves in this process of life, of humaning, of adulting, and, having times that challenge us. It's that time to really grow and trust and let go and accept. There's a paradox between accepting and also taking action and doing our part. It's okay, right? So not living in fantasy, not living in illusion or delusion, taking responsibility, doing my part, and then letting God, letting life do the rest, and trusting that that's enough. So, all right, tell me, how does this resonate for you? What advice do you have from your own experience about facing financial challenges? Any tips for our viewers? I know there was another time I was financially in a challenging place when I had a lot of credit card debt, and one of the best pieces of advice that someone gave me was to consolidate all my credit cards and pay it off, and or what does this video bring up for you? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. I'm happy to be back on this channel, and I look forward to just continuing to bring you content here and getting to know you guys better and letting you guys get to know this version of me better, and just continuing onward. So, all right. Bye, guys.